back.
What is going on, guys? My name is Fredo, also known as the self-proclaimed motherfucking king of music commentaries. This is going to be the first actual episode of my music commentary series that I planned to start like a month ago. I'm sorry for the delay. Most of the reason was I didn't want to do it badly, and I had to kind of reevaluate my YouTube situation. I wasn't just going to push out videos that I wasn't proud of, but I'm back on my horse again, uploading daily on my channel, and, you know, in the swing of things again. This gameplay is actually pretty interesting. It's a Spaz TDM. I do use the PM9, which is overpowered, obviously, overpowered secondary, but I have an underpowered primary, so I don't really care. I used the PM9 a few times, but pretty energetic, competitive, tough match, the type of gameplays I like to post. Get shanked, motherfucker! And yeah, just a lot of fun, my type of gameplay. But this commentary is not about the gameplay, it's about music and why pop music sucks. The thing with pop music is, by definition, it's going to be the most popular mainstream thing that's out there. And in doing so, it doesn't appeal to more specific margins of like musical interests. For instance, pop music's not really going to sound like gangsta rap, and it's not going to sound like metal, but it can have elements of that gangster feel or elements of metal or heavy guitars, things like that. And that is basically what makes it suck. Over the years, pop has evolved, and it does so by, and man, I'm going on a little tear right here. It does so by combining and synthesizing whatever's popular at the time. Sadly, what that really does is just create a good marketing tool, because if you have the most simplistic music that can be enjoyed by the most mass amount of people, you're going to make more money. So really, it's more of a business decision, and that's what's kind of sad about the music industry today. It's less about making groundbreaking music and good music than it is just a simple song that can be enjoyed or at least appreciated or heard or understood by a wide range of people, and that's why I say it sucks. But not all pop songs necessarily suck, but generally the genre of music kind of blows and isn't very good. But looking back into the history of pop music, the first place you have to start is the Beatles. Oh, by the way, I made this playlist that's going to be in the description. What you do, you can pull this playlist up, click on it, and either select a few songs that you don't know of as I reference them. But I made a list that's basically in chronological order to help you understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to be talking about only American music, not because I think American music's the only music that matters, but I just don't have any knowledge of musical history and rock and roll history throughout the other countries. I'm sure you have great stuff as well, but the more American-centric stuff is what I'm going to always be focusing on in this series. But anyway, back to the Beatles. Their sound that they created originally, their pop style, because there's really kind of like multiple versions of the Beatles as they evolve over time, which makes them the greatest band ever, technically. They stole that sound from the black either blues musicians or guys like Chuck Berry with like Johnny B. Good. That guitar sound, that simplistic rock song structure, guitar-centric, hard-hitting and swinging sound was originally by the black people, and the white people stole it. Let's just be honest about that. Especially Elvis. His sound is extremely black with a white face. It's hilarious. Luckily, the Beatles later got more adventurous and did more interesting things with their music. But you gotta admit, songs like Twist and Shout are freaking awesome. If you haven't seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, try to do a YouTube search for the Twist and Shout scene, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Pretty epic. That's a movie from the 80s. Probably one of the best movies of the 80s that you probably need to see if you haven't seen it before. But moving on, that simplistic rock style started to segment in the 70s, where there's more the hard rock emerging with like the likes of Led Zeppelin, The Who, and other bands like that. We'll get into that in other episodes, but the main pop sound from the 70s was disco, and there wasn't a bigger group in disco than ABBA. Another example would be the Heebie-Jeebies that I didn't put on this list. That disco sound was intended to be dance-centric. And it's kind of interesting. We're going to come back to this idea when we get into the modern day, which I want to get to faster, so I'm going to move along. In the 80s, there was the new wave, which had some dance-centric music as well, like Men Without Hats, the safety dance. We got in the playlist, we got Scrubs, the Turk doing the safety dance. New wave wanted to use the new technology in music, which was how keyboards could do synthesizer noises, and that's what they used a lot. And you got a lot of weird sounding songs like Cars from Gary Newman. But really the king of pop was Michael Jackson in the late 80s, which combined the traditional rock sound with the hip hop feel, and that's why he's the king of pop. His music sounds like if you mashed together dance music with the Rolling Stones. And that's why songs like Thriller and Beat It can like rock hard but are still extremely poppy. And then in the 90s, pop music was completely fucking terrible. Big waste of time. Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, just terrible, terrible music. And then you get knockoffs from that 90s boy band image in the 2000s and moving on with like Kesha and Justin Bieber. Kesha's really like a bad rapper in a pop setting. I'm sorry if you like Kesha, but it's pretty ridiculous. If you're watching the gameplay here, it's getting really close, tight-knit situation. There are a few kills ahead, and we need to catch back up. Entertainment on the screen as well. But in the modern day, it's kind of interesting that Lady Gaga is kind of our huge pop hit of today, and her music's really dance-focused as well, and it kind of alludes back to that disco age. Lady Gaga copies the techno scene a lot, and her music sounds like watered-down techno, and that's my final explanation of pop music. It waters down the actual interesting style of music, and that's why Lady Gaga's Born This Way sounds exactly like Express Yourself, things like that. If you're not going to watch any video in this playlist, you should probably watch the last one, Pachelbel Rant. It's a pretty funny explanation of how every pop song sounds the same. Other than that, it's been fun breaking down pop music for you. There's a lot of stuff to cover in this. I'm going to be able to get more specific and more interesting in other more specific titles, but pop music blows. My name is Frito. I don't do outros.